Okay, what is up, everybody? This is Ferny Ceballos. Welcome to your daily dose of awesome in your life. 15 minutes of daily motivation, inspiration, education, so you can get your day started right. Well, we've come off Thanksgiving break. Hopefully, you all had an amazing time with your families and just had some time off to kind of reflect. I certainly did. I actually was doing a lot of work, but because it's Thanksgiving, I'm able to do work without people bothering me or reaching out to me for whatever reason. And so just, work for me is a little bit meditative. So you guys have to bear with me because today I'm going to, extend that meditation that I did. I'm just looking to make sure we are live here. It looks like we are. What is up, everybody? There you go. And so today's topic is actually something that I can't adjust my volume. So today's topic is actually on something that is close near and dear to my heart, and I don't talk about it very much. It's on personal development. Specifically, I'm gonna be talking about the devil, outwitting the devil, if you will. I actually wrote an article about this or a blog post not too long ago. So if you can go to the Elite Marketing Pro blog and search the word devil, you'll find it, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of things that I'll be repeating from there. But I actually didn't even reference that. It's just some stuff I've been reflecting on. And so let me just before we get into anything, I want to make sure you guys who are new to this broadcast know who I am. My name is Ferny Ceballos. I'm a lead generation and online marketing expert specializing in helping home business owners. That's network marketers, direct sellers, and affiliate marketers multiply their incomes and grow their incomes using the internet. Now, I built my first six-figure network marketing business within a couple years of discovering the information we teach here at Elite Marketing Pro. And over the past 10 years, I've been responsible for over $11 million in gross income into my home businesses and have helped our clients over the past 10 years create hundreds of millions of dollars of incomes in their businesses as well. So what we teach and do here at Elite Marketing Pro works, especially if you're a home business owner or a network marketer. Now, if you're new to our broadcast, I highly recommend that you subscribe to these lives. We go live every single day, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And so what you can do right now is if you're on your mobile device, you can actually click on the top right corner of the video. There won't be anything there, but click there and then an ellipsis symbol will show up. Click again. That'll open up a menu where you can like our fan page if you have not already liked our fan page. And also you'll be able to turn on notifications so that every time that we post a new training or we go live, you can join us live or watch the recording later. It'll create a little ping notification on your phone, which won't be intrusive. And you can make sure that you get those daily reminders every time we go live so that you can join us, potentially ask any questions as we interact. And so if you're watching this on desktop, then all you need to do is just above the description of this video, you just need to go to our logo, click on that. It'll take you to our fan page. Click liked, and then when you click the like button on that same button, a pull-down menu will appear, and you'll be able to turn on notifications there as well. Finally, I will say I will be talking a little bit about social media recruiting because right now we have a special offer that's running. Our social media recruiter training that we just did live. Julie Burke, one of our members here at Elite Marketing Pro, who's been responsible for personally sponsoring over 270 people into her front line and has grown an organization of over 8,300 people, 70 to 80% of whom were recruited using social media recruiting strategies. Now, that link is in the description above. If you want to take advantage of that training and 50% discount on that training, this was a live training that we did over the Thanksgiving break because we're trying to raise money for charity and do good deeds here. So 40% of the proceeds for your purchase of that training will go towards Heifer International. So go ahead and when we're done, or if you want to skip this training, you don't want to look at me, but you want to dive right into the training, I will not be offended if you want to do that as well. So let me just check to see if we are live. I will talk about how outwitting the devil, how conquering the devil relates to your businesses here. Let me see. Okay, we are live. All right, cool. All right, so over this past week, I believe, or even a couple weeks ago, so some of you may know who know me. I'm kind of a heavy metal fan. I got into heavy metal when I was in high school, and specifically, my favorite band growing up was Metallica. And so Metallica, I mean, they're in their 50s, I think, maybe even 60s now. Who knows? And so they've been around for quite a while, and so they just this month released their latest album, and I was listening to their album, and I couldn't help but be reminded of a documentary that they did. I think it was called Some Kind of Monster, in the early 2000s. And this documentary basically was during the time when one of their bandmates, Jason Newsted, had quit the band. So there was the band was in turmoil. They had just the bad things were happening, and that could have potentially caused the band to come apart. And so they had this. They basically had this crew. And guys, let me know if you guys can hear me. If you guys are watching, I want to make sure that we are live. So tell me what your name is, where you're coming from, and I'll be sure to give you a shout out. And so during the documentary, they filmed this documentary, and in the documentary they have basically a life coach following them around. So they have a life coach that's basically getting this band who's always been very macho and not into like sharing their feelings more. They get just the only time they share their feelings is when they get pissed off at each other, and that's pretty much it. They have this life coach that's following them around, and they've pretty much submitted to him. And it's really weird watching these big tough heavy metal guys that are pretty much gods in the music industry, and this scrawny, bald looking life coach that's pretty much trying to hold the band together, and having them talk about their feelings and going deep. And at the time when I first saw this was back when I was in college. I didn't really care for that too much. I was like, what's wrong with Metallica? Like, they turned from like this awesome, ultra alpha metal band to like these like feeling sharing weirdos that are like, what's happening? And so at the time I didn't really understand it, but because they were the band that I loved, I kind of let it slide and just didn't just put that memory of that watching that documentary with their life coach behind me, because I didn't really understand it. So it's kind of funny. And then obviously over the past 10 years, I went through my own personal development journey as I built my business. And only recently have I started to reflect on what I actually had observed, almost 15, 16 years ago, in watching that documentary. Like that even the richest, toughest, heavy metal band, arguably the world's greatest rock band of all time, like heavy metal rock band, no offense to anyone out there, at some point needed help. They needed help not with their music. They needed help not with their marketing. They didn't need help with anything related to running the business. They needed help just holding their crap together. And it's like I was like listening to their new album, and I'm like, wow, like, is it possible that if that life coach had not been there, basically getting them to just share their feelings, like the things that they buried within them with alcohol and probably drugs, would they be around today? Would they be creating music today? And I'm of the opinion that probably not. And so for me, personal development, was a key thing in my growth. And sometimes I tend not to address it too much in what I do on a daily basis here at EMP, because I've pretty much done so much work on it that it's kind of almost it's something that's behind me, and I'm focused on the work. And the first thing I want to share with you guys is personal development is meaningless if you don't have work attached to it. Like if you're doing personal development and spirituality for the sake of personal development and spirituality because it makes you feel good, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. It should have some work attached to it, whether it's your marketing, whether it's related to you getting healthy or whatever. It should have something attached to it. Otherwise, how do you know if it's working? How do you know if you've like conquered those demons? And I'll get to the title of this topic in a second, related to the devil. But my personal development journey was analogous to a battle with the devil, and it's an ongoing battle. Like the war's not over because I'm not dead. And so For me, personal development, going through that journey was primarily based on two things. And I'm going to tell you some of the resources that I used that pretty much quickly, dealt with whatever issues I dealt with. Because I also believe that personal development shouldn't be something that's all consuming, that it shouldn't be consuming your life. It should be something that you apply, that you then apply to your work and get to work. It's not something you're like, become a fanboy of any one system or guru or whatever. But for me, it was about personal development was about two things. It was about awareness, and it was about taking responsibility. The awareness part I'll talk in a second, but the taking responsibility part is really important. And I wrote some things down. That's why I'm looking down. Taking responsibility for your life and the results that you have thus far. Responsibility for the choices you've made. Good or bad, you accept them as they are. And Keith Cunningham, Rich Dad, who I was in a mastermind with a couple weeks ago, had a great analogy for complaining about circumstances. He said basically in business you have pretend you're playing football, and the football field is 100 yards long and 50 yards wide, and that's it. That is the field that has two goalposts, and those are the parameters. So it does you no good to be complaining about the size of the football field if it better your game. If the football field was a little shorter and a little wider, if you constantly complain about that, you're not going to get your way, because that is the football field. You can't be constantly complaining about these outside forces that are constantly hitting you, because those outside forces will always be there. We always have to pay our taxes. We always have to overcome certain things. In business we have regulations. We have laws to follow. We have to pay our taxes, etc. That's the football field. And in life, very similar things. We have family that we have to, are responsible for. We have our own, and also our family that we were born into. That is essentially the football field. Those are the things we're responsible for. So it does us no good to complain about it. What we should do is make every effort to play within the parameters of that game. And the other thing was about becoming awareness, having awareness. So what are your strengths and your weaknesses? What about you allows you to play that game so well? But more than that, more than awareness, it's having more than just what are your strengths and weaknesses. For me, a big part of my personal development journey that really made an impact was becoming aware of what I wasn't aware of. Becoming aware of myself, why I'm kind of what I have the tendencies I have, why I have the weaknesses that I have. That was a big part of my journey. And, one of the big thing that made me aware of how I'm designed. And oftentimes when things don't go our way, when we screw up in our business, when we're having issues with our relationships or whatever, and we tend to, if we are the type that kind of blame ourselves and we constantly asking ourselves, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's going on with, why can't I get this? Why can't I get this marketing stuff? Why is it not working for me? And we're constantly asking, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? When the fact of the matter is, there's nothing wrong with you. And that's, you're perfect as you are. And accepting that, and not just accepting, but understanding why that is, was a key part of my journey. I learned basically that idea at the Landmark Forum. And at the forum, I also discovered something about myself, that my tendencies, the things that I always will gravitate towards, being lazy, or seeking the easy way out and all that stuff, those are things that will always be there. And being aware of my natural tendencies, being aware of that, essentially that devil inside me, that is always trying to steer me away from the things I should be doing. Having that awareness became a huge part of how I designed my life, how I designed, my environment, so that those things would be less of an influence. And a few resources that I highly recommend, in addition to the Landmark Forum, I highly recommend you read The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. In The War of Art, Stephen Pressfield talks about resistance, and that every time we shift and move towards doing something that's going to be good for us financially, good for us for our health, good for us spiritually, whatever, we always run into this resistance. Whether that resistance can come in the form of fear, doubt, just something that's emotionally impacting us that keeps us from pursuing that. And most of us, what we do is we move away from that resistance and do something that's comfortable. And what Stephen Pressfield talked about is like, rather than seeing that resistance as a bad thing, see it as a good thing. See it as it's your compass. Whenever you are moving in a certain direction and you run into resistance, that's a sign that it's actually the thing you should be doing. And that you need to break through that resistance, because behind that wall of resistance is what your life purpose is, or at least that's in the direction that's going to lead you towards going towards your life purpose. In Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, Napoleon Hill goes a little even deeper and a little more sinister, if you will. If you've read Outwitting the Devil, you've read that that basically Napoleon Hill did not publish this book. This was published later, many years after his death. Only in the past 5 years was it actually published. So Napoleon Hill supposedly interviewed the devil, and the whole book is an interview, a back and forth exchange with the devil, and it's fascinating because essentially what it boiled down to, and I highly recommend you read that. So if you've done the Landmark Forum and you've read The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, if you want to if you want to kind of look at it from a spiritual perspective, this book is very enlightening and is not dogmatic at all in religion. And I grew up Catholic, and I understand the dogma, especially as it relates to fear of doing something wrong or angering God because you're going to go to hell or something like that. Outwitting the Devil takes a more sophisticated approach to it, because those are just fear tactics that are created through religion. In Outwitting the Devil, essentially what you're trying to avoid is creating a hell on earth, and the devil is essentially, according to Napoleon Hill through his interview, basically the devil just reveals himself to Napoleon Hill and tells Napoleon Hill his true intentions. The goal of the devil is to limit your potential, to take you away from the things that bring you meaning and purpose and happiness in your life, and constantly trying to sabotage those things. And essentially with Stephen Pressfield, The War of Art, every time you meet resistance, according to Outwitting the Devil, that's the devil. That it's not, in Landmark Forum they talked about design and biology, like just how we're just designed to be survival beings. Therefore, we resist doing certain things because it's not in line with our survival. In fact, it might even threaten our survival. At least that's a perception. So that's why we have that resistance. In Stephen Pressfield, it was more of an artistic standpoint. With Napoleon Hill, he's actually saying that's the devil, trying to keep you from doing the things that you should be doing and fulfilling in your life. And interesting thing, if you write the word devil backwards, the word lived is there. And essentially what the devil is trying to keep you from doing is living. So it's not about like trying to avoid an inferno and doing the wrong things or breaking certain laws. What the real origin of sin is limiting your human potential, limiting everything you could have possibly done in your life that you had the talents and the endurance to accomplish. The devil's goal is to minimize as much of that as possible. And you can choose to look at Outwitting the Devil from a spiritual standpoint and strictly look at it as an analogy. And either way, it's totally cool, but it's still the same thing. Something inside us will always want to keep us from fulfilling our potential, from doing the things we want to do. And we will always be in that battle to kind of overcome those things. And as long as we are aware that is what's happening, then every time we feel that resistance, we can acknowledge that resistance. Is like, I know you're there, and then you choose to do the things you need to do anyway, and that's when you have true freedom. When you acknowledge the things that are there, that are creating fear, doubt, etc. You don't ignore it. You never get it to disappear, but you're able to now make choices in your life that allow you to push through that stuff and overcome. So for me, Outwitting the Devil is powerful because it just totally eradicates the nonsense related to, if you break this rule that God set, you're going to go to hell. No, the hell you're creating is right here in this life. And the proof as to whether you're actually following your life purpose and what you were put on this earth to do is the life you have now and the results you've created. And if you're not there yet, then acknowledge it, become aware of it, and make the choices that you need to make today in order to move towards that life and become closer to fulfilling your human potential. With regards to network marketing and recruiting, the act of recruiting is a very scary thing. Talking to somebody and going through that process, the recruiting process or the selling process if you're selling product, there's a lot of resistance because that's not something naturally we do. We're not taught in school to do those things to sell. We're not taught in college for the most part to sell or influence at all. This is something that's brand new, yet selling is what drives our economy and selling is what's going to drive our businesses. And so the best we can do in order to minimize the pain associated with that is to get trained, is to be trained on how to prospect, how to recruit, how to sell. And that's, tying it back to the opportunity you have with Social Media Recruiter. The link is in the description. That's, it provides you the use of the internet and social media so you don't have to leave your house. It provides you a process and an approach towards building your businesses, but you still got to do the work. And even in doing that work, you will run into resistance. And if you want to choose the spiritual side of it, you're going to run into the devil constantly trying to sabotage that. The devil's not trying to keep you from having sex or do drugs or whatever. Not specifically. The devil's trying to keep you from, inhibiting, keep you from fulfilling your human potential. And if those things, whether it be, drugs, sex, or whatever, if those things keep you from fulfilling your human potential, then that's what the devil's gonna try to do. And if it's something else that's gonna keep you, that potentially can keep you from inhibiting your human potential, then that's what he'll attack, or that's what our nature will attack. We will always resist the things that are probably gonna help us move towards a positive direction. There's a lot of rules depending on what religion you're in. There's a lot of rules that are set. Ultimately, the rule that I follow is by doing or not doing what's in front of me, is that going to somehow limit the things I can accomplish in this life? And if the answer is yes, then I don't go in that direction. If the answer is no, then obviously that's something that I'm open to. So hope this was cool for you. It went a little long. I got a little deep, but I hope this was powerful for you. It's a little deep. I'm having you guys think a little bit after this Thanksgiving journey that you had with all your family and your food and everything. But it's just something that was on my mind. Especially I started thinking about it as I was listening to Metallica, and the fact that they had to get a personal development coach to help them push through some of this stuff. And good thing that they did, because now the band is around today. In the case of Metallica, their potential, what was their just nature as human beings? Forget the devil stuff. What was their nature as human beings trying to sabotage? It's trying to sabotage the success that they already had created, and it's trying to take that away from them, trying to take away the relationships they had, and they needed an outside expert to help them, just like you may need an expert. So I highly recommend Outwitting the Devil. I recommend The War of Art, and I highly recommend, if you want to put a bow on all this personal development stuff, the Landmark Forum. Go do that, and hopefully that'll make the impact that it made for me, make that impact for you as well. So take care, everybody. Have an awesome day. We'll talk tomorrow. Take care.